Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining in on another episode of Transformative Healing for Mental Health and Trauma on this fine Monday evening. So, thank you for joining us. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to hit the like button. Yeah, I can really talk today. Make sure you hit the like button. And then, if you would share it out, you never know who could benefit from watching, kind of listening, and all the things that we share here. So, um, happy Monday evening to each and every one of you. Again, thank you for being here. Um, if this is the first time seeing any of my videos, let me introduce myself. My name is Gina. I'm a certified neurotransformative specialist, or practitioner, and I'm a neurographic art specialist as well. So I do trauma recovery coaching, but it's combined with neurographic art therapy for more inner healing, reprogramming of the subconscious, um, and just overall more transformation and healing on a totally different level. So tonight, we are just going to do a check-in, kind of see how everybody's doing. I don't know how. I don't think I'm going to be on here long. I'm tired, and I had an incident today subbing, and there's just been too many things that I had to do today that's kind of stressing me out. And I've had to talk to, yeah, again, too many people and over an incident. And so I just want to check in with everybody, see how everybody's doing, how your week was, and then kind of take some time to unwind myself and kind of de-escalate from the situation that occurred today while I was subbing. And it just seems like I said it's kind of interesting because I um, said earlier, not here, but I was just kind of, thinking to myself that, man, subbing is either a curse or it's a blessing. And what I mean by that, it's a blessing to be in the lives of children, especially in the field that I'm in, to be able to recognize things and just to be able to be that positive role model to them. It's kind of like be the adult you wish for as a child. And so you cannot, knowing the things that we've gone through, I'm able to kind of go in and try to be that positive influence, that role model. Good evening, Michael. And, just kind of be there and be that positive role model. And I've been suffering a lot, but there's been two incidences that have unfolded. And so I can, I don't know, maybe I think I just let off like that safe energy. Because even in sessions, my clients will be like, Gina, you can feel just the safe and just the caring nature that you carry and stuff like that. You just emit that energy. And so it makes me feel good. But anyway, uh, you know, nonetheless, it drains me. I love doing it, but it really drains me mentally. Not so much physically, but it's more mentally. And again, there was just something that happened today that really, really drained me. And so I really need to make sure that I take care of myself and kind of do some things. But I wanted to kind of check in, see how everyone's doing, and kind of talk about briefly about mental health and the way that it shapes us and things like that. And, see how everybody's doing for the week. What are your goals? What are your, do you have plans? If you do have goals, are you reaching them? Are you taking the small steps to reach your goals? Or do you feel like starting here and then you got to jump clear down here to your goal and you're not just taking those small steps to get you where you need to be and things like that too. So I really just want to check in and see how, each and every one of you are doing and, what's going on in your lives. How's the last week been? And Scott, I just wanted to let you know that I had red velvet pancakes with some of the Vermont syrup, and it was awesome. It was like killer, man. It was great. It was phenomenal. So I was the only one that ate it because I wasn't giving it to the kids. I was like, you guys are not having any of this. So I gave them the junk syrup. I was like, you're not having any of this. And so good. Well, good. I'm glad that, you guys are all doing good. I'm doing good for the most part, and stuff. But We always have to make sure that we, take care of our mental health and things like that too. So one of the topics I just kind of, by the time I got home and done eating and did what I needed to do and stuff like that, is if you think about it, our mental health kind of shapes us. And so one of the things, to talk that I would like to just kind of talk about briefly, I don't want to stay on too long, is about imposter syndrome. And so it kind of reflects the inner conflict between personal achievements and the belief that you don't deserve them. And so how many of you have inner imposter syndrome? Ugh, I can't even talk tonight. I apologize. Between not talking, I don't know what's going on. So like I this brain fog or whatever I have, like this cloud is just like ugh. And it's kind of driving me bananas. And when I was sick with the flu and then I ended up with the lung infection. So I was sick for a total of 4 weeks. And then it was like, now I'm dropping stuff all the time. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is nuts. Now I can't even talk. I'm like, oh my word, this is insane. So you got to bear with me. And so have you heard of imposter syndrome? I'm glad to hear that. And that's usually okay, I'm not exactly sure what happened. Okay, can you still hear me? I know my camera. Why does this happen to me? Can you hear me? Or is my camera is my thing gone too? All right, you can hear me. All right, I'm going. Oh, there we are. I don't know. I'm telling you, see? I think sometimes these lives are just so powerful that the enemy sometimes wants to swoosh in and just like take everything back and and take it away, and it just drives me insane. So what I was saying is Scott said weight loss journey continues and my mental health has had an upswing in a good way. And that's huge because when we start taking care of our gut health, it plays a role in the way that our anxiety and depression. And so kind of here's why. The dopamine and serotonin is made in the gut. And so you need some sort of carbs. And so if you're cutting out all carbs, which is all right, but if you're cutting out good carbs, you need carbs for transmitters to allow the dopamine and serotonin to reach your brain. They need the transmitters to get up there. And so there's good carbs that you can eat and, and hopefully get them up there. And that's why you start feeling better. You start, your mood increases as far as not bad, but good. So all of that stuff starts increasing from the way that your gut health. And so that kind of shapes your mental health. Gut health is one of the biggest things to do. And so eating healthy, staying away from fried foods and just, all kinds of things that aren't healthy for you is huge. Making sure that you are, maybe doing probiotics, vitamins, those types of things to kind of help you on your journey as well. Whether you're, just changing your lifestyle and you want to eat healthier, whether you're on a weight loss journey and things like that too. But remember, your mental health and whether you're losing weight or eating healthier, you have to make sure that you're getting into a healthier place mentally, or chances are by the time you get to your desired weight or you do what you're going to do, it's going to yo-yo. Something's going to, I'm taking this from my own experience, not saying it's going to happen, but sometimes what ends up happening is we end up going back, not back fully to where we were, but something comes up that we're not aware of, or we don't have the correct coping skills, or the coping skills we were never taught. And, and so we end up having a trigger that kind of spirals us, per se. And so just make sure that you're really, I said it last week, really taking care of yourself, and any triggers or anything like that comes up. But imposter syndrome is when, kind of we feel like we're not good enough. It's a conflict between personal achievements and the belief that you don't deserve them. And so for me, just to give you an idea, and it goes with your mental health, it goes with your inner critic, because when you grow up, and if you grow up, having things said to you about, maybe you'll never amount to nothing, maybe you're worthless, maybe you're stupid, and, so on and so forth. So what ends up happening is when you start achieving all of these things, the imposter syndrome comes in, and you feel like you are a cheat. You feel like you don't deserve those achievements. You feel like the hard work that you put in to receive those achievements, whether it's, a college degree, certifications, those types of things, you feel like you didn't deserve them. And so it's affecting how you think because of the things you've gone through and endured in your life, the things that shape who we are. And so when that happens, it's a matter of just looking at it and reframing it and be like, I did deserve those things. I worked my butt off. And so as, not just coaches, but everybody goes through it. I'm sure psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers, counselors, lawyers, doctors, teachers, all of us go through it. We all go through it. And the reason being is because chances are there was somebody in our life that downgraded us. And so now it's kind of like we perceive those things differently. And things. Has anybody else dealt with that? So you kind of feel like a fraud. Again, you feel like you don't deserve anything. You don't deserve your success, despite the evidence, again, the achievements and things like that you have, you've gotten, again, a degree, certifications and things like that. And so it's particularly prominent in high achievers and people in competitive environments. So it usually comes down to like luck, timing, external factors rather than their own skill or ability. So they don't look at, oh, this is what I have. They look at, oh, that's just luck and timing. They don't look at their own abilities and things like that. So for instance, I have a bunch of fishermen in here. So for instance, you could go and say, I caught a fish. Okay, I'm lucky and it was good timing. Instead of saying, I've been fishing for 20 years. I know what I'm doing. You may not be a pro in the Bass Pro or whatever they're doing and all of those big things, but you have the knowledge, and knowledge is key when it comes to fishing, when it comes to doing other things. But a lot of people will say, oh, I'm just lucky and it was good timing. So you have to realize that it's, whether you're blessed, whether you say lucky, whether it's the timing, but you have to add in that it's your knowledge. It's your knowledge. You know what you're doing. When you feel that bass, bite your lure and you feel it on your line. Am I correct? It's not just the timing. It's not just the place. It's how you use your skills. Well, so Scott's funny. Scott says, I'm not a pro. Well, you're a pro in your own eyes. And I like Sly. I've always been pretty confident about life, and I like that. And then Scott says, used to be low self-esteem, but as of late, just feeling better all around for now. And I like that, Scott. I can, when you say things like that, and, it makes me feel good to know that there is a transformation in place. that you're working on your mental health, and I see the transition and the transformations that you're making. And so that's huge. And Sly says, I'm not a pro either, but I can catch them. Absolutely. And so do you see kind of where it comes into play? And so it's not about looking at luck and timing. You have to look at your ability and your skills. So don't just look at external factors. Look at what your own abilities and skills are. That's really where you have to look at things, if that makes sense. And so there's all different kinds of imposter syndrome, like perfectionist. I'm a recovering one. The expert, the natural genius, soloist, superhero. And so for me, being a recovering perfectionist, I say that because there's a lot of things that I don't really, being a perfectionist, everything has to be perfect. And I'm not really that way anymore. There are some very minimal things. But I used to be very, when it came to being a perfectionist, everything had to be not really perfect, but it had to be perfect, especially if I was writing. If I made an error, I would not cross it out. I would try to put a line in it, but it would bug me. So then I'd have to go and write the whole page over. It wouldn't matter if I was getting ready to flip the page. I had to write it all over. And it's just crazy. It's like, holy macaroni. And so, when somebody is a perfectionist, people feel that if everything isn't perfect, then they're failing or inadequate. And so a lot of that goes back to how do I want to say it? People going, I can't even think of what I want to say, people going and saying, good job, or, getting that affirmation, or that, and I know affirmation is not even the right word that I'm trying to look for. When they say good job and all that stuff. And so, there's times as growing up, we weren't given that type of positive reinforcement. And so then we become perfectionists because, we may have been doing something and then we were criticized for that. And so then we became perfectionist, which kind of stinks in a way. The expert. So the expert is they know everything or be the absolute best in their field to be worthy. They tend to discount their expertise and feel that their knowledge is never enough. And so, that's kind of where, again, you've learned so much, and then you're just like, yeah, I just want to keep going and going and going and going and going. And it's like, holy mackerel. And so, that's 2 of the 5, I believe, that I kind of went over and things like that too. And so let me kind of tell you a little bit, because it does. I mean, this is what shapes us. If you have imposter syndrome, it affects your mental health because, again, as you just seen what some of the 5 imposter syndromes are, you may fit into one of those categories, and then you're like, oof, okay, what's going on? And so imposter syndrome happens when there is childhood experiences, again, like I said, where you were either excessively praised or criticized. That was the word I was looking for. Praise, not affirmation, was praise though. And so, think about it. If you're praised or criticized, it's like, and even if it's excessively, but praised or criticized, for it, that's where a lot of people, they start going towards the negative, especially not praised, but criticized and things like that too. Or they can, especially being excessively praised. I mean, think about it. You're excessively praised. So now what you're doing is you want to make sure that you are working on that praise, because that is what gives you, makes you feel good when somebody, just, praises you and things like that too. So that's what maybe boosts your ego and things like that too. So, those types of things. You have fail of failure. So you're constantly afraid that others will discover your secret, making you anxious about potential mistakes or shortcomings. And so again, you you can't be afraid of failure. How many times did you fall down riding a bike? How many people ride a bike? I mean, we all do. How many times have you fallen off your bike, but you got back up? If you fell off your bike 49 times, how many times did you get up? I'm sure you probably got up 50 times. And I'm sure you probably have scraped knees, and you had scraped elbows and maybe a chin and things like that. But you still did it. You still got up to ride your bike. You still did it. When you first started fishing, were you a pro? No. You had to continue to learn. You had to continue to go forth and learn. And that's exactly what it's about. You have to make sure that you are not afraid of failure. We all fail. Each and every one of us, we all fail. If somebody tells you they don't fail, they are lying to you, because we have all failed, and we continue to fail, whether we fail ourselves, whether we fail other people, and things like that. But we all fail. But the bottom line is we get back up and we learn from those experiences. That's the main thing. You're not supposed to stay there. So if you can fall and get back up, that says a lot about your character. So don't let your mental health shape you. Use it to your advantage. Just don't let it shape who you are. You deserve everything as much as the next person. You deserve it just like the next person. So Sly says, I try to learn all the time when I fish. Sometimes I have to say to myself, stop and listen to what the fish are saying. Absolutely. And so it's listening. It's stopping to say, what can I do different? It's not that you're failing. You're not failing by any means. But what you're doing is not working. You may have to change things up. It's not that you're failing. You're not failing anything. And so every time that you come back out, when you fall and you come back up, and you get back up, what ends up happening is you start building more confidence for yourself. I can do this. I can do this. And so Scott says, I'm still learning how to fish even after many decades. And I think fishing is just one of those things. It's just a continuous learning. It's always learning. There's so many aspects to fishing, just like there's so many aspects to trauma and mental health and coaching and art and breath work and everything else that we've talked about. And so, you are constantly learning. It's constantly learning, because everything is going to change. You still may be able to catch the fish on certain lures. I can't even never say that word, but Charles always makes fun of me because of it. If you catch them on it, I think from the time, maybe, like, they're all changing. If you go back 30 years, you might not see that same lure. Yeah, whatever that word is, whatever. I say it funky anyway, but whatever. You may not find that one, because they're always improving. So take that. You're not the same that you were 30 years ago. You're different. You're a different person. You're a different person, than you were a minute ago. We're always changing. Always. So, I mean, think about it. Absolutely. If you stop learning, you're wasting time. And that's exactly what it is. It's a constant learning. It's the same thing with trauma recovery. It's the same thing with learning about trauma informed. If I would stop today and say, I will never pick up another book, I will never pick up anything else, I won't have the knowledge, because The neuroscience and the neurophysiology that they are, and the research in them both and the things that they are gathering. That's why, mental health and trauma recovery and all of that stuff. That's why you didn't hear about this 20, 25 years ago, maybe 30 years ago. You didn't hear about any of this. It's because science is so advanced now. Now they're starting to uncover the correlation between mental health and trauma. And as childhood trauma survivors or anybody that has endured, traumatic events in their adult life, what it does to the neuroscience, it's neuroscience and neurobiology. What does it do to our bodies? What does it do? And stuff like that. So it's just looking at that and going, holy smokes. I mean, it's so advanced. And things like that. So those are things that to really think about. Everything's changing. Everything. We change. The world's changing. The way you fish is going to change. So it's a constant learning. We're constantly learning about everything. And then I like what Scott says. Life is continuously learning. If you think you know it all, you failed. Absolutely. You have to continue to learn. And so it's the same thing when it comes to mental health. You have to learn about yourself. You can't get halfway through your recovery journey and say, oh, I feel good enough, I'm going to stop. Because guess what happens? I'm going to share a little bit of insight. Usually, I have clients all throughout the year. And most of my clients come probably November, maybe I'm going to say December. So most of my clients in December, after I've seen them the entire year, they'll say to me, okay, Gina, I'm feeling wonderful. And I see it. I'm feeling wonderful. I think I'm going to take, probably the next 3 or 4 months off. And I'm going to just, the coping skills and stuff that you've given me and the things that we've learned. And I see the transformation, but they're just not there yet. I know that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. The recommendations and the things that I have recommended them to do, they're not doing. And I know that. Either they tell me or I concede in the way that our sessions go. And so, they'll take January, so January, February, March. Usually by April, they'll come back. And by then, guess what happens? They're already 3 or 4 months past, and they literally have forgotten, and they have reverted back because they don't have the accountability partner. They don't have somebody meeting with them week after week after week, recommending things to them, helping them through them. And so then what happens is they revert back. So, that year that we just worked, or not even the year, because you figure, so the 8 months that we worked together and the 4 months they took off literally just set them back another year. And so that's something that they just don't understand. And so when you work on yourself, it's continuously. If you don't work on yourself, you're affecting your mental health. Your mental health is what shapes you. Your mental health is what allows you the ability to do the things that you love and actually love them. Being able to do things and being able to understand your self-worth, yourself, your value, and all of those things. So making sure that you're really paying attention, when you go out and you're learning, or you're through your healing journey or whatever you're doing. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm just going to stop. Okay. Whether it's with your healing, mental health, whatever you're doing, you always have to make sure that you have one foot in front of the other. That's important. And then again, to never give up. Never give up. It does get easier, gets easier. Things like that too. So, does that make sense to everybody? All right, good. Does anybody have any questions? So when imposter syndrome kind of sets in and things like that, it's just one of those things, just making sure that you're, taking care of yourself and things like that too. And, um, and stuff like that. Cause obviously, I care. Everybody's mental health is different. We're all at different stages, but, making sure that, checking in and stuff like that and kind of helping you overcome some of the little hurdles that we have. But again, it's about building confidence in yourself enough to be like, hey, I got this. So, and things like that too. So just kind of wanted to, check in, have a small session, and stuff like that with you just to make sure that, how your week's going and leading up to spring will be here before long. And, and things like that too. And, kind of get out there and be able to hopefully pretty soon. And then I just seen where Sly had said something about, snow on Thursday. Yuck. I'm getting sick of it. But, hopefully spring will be coming soon and we can all get outside because I know you guys all love nature. I love being out in nature. It's a wonderful thing for me. I love being outside and being out in the sun. And although my eyes don't love it anymore, um, you are more than welcome, Scott. And that's why I continue to do these. Sometimes I just get on here and sometimes I feel like I'm rambling on. I like the information you share because I work it in with my counselor. I appreciate your weekly. Thank you. And so, sometimes I get on here and I feel like I'm rambling on, rambling along and things like that. But, I just feel like some of the things that I talk about are just things that we're all going through. We just don't know exactly what it is we're going through. And so, the imposter syndrome is something that I deal with all the time. And, I always feel like, man, I'm a sucky coach, and for the longest time, I felt that way about myself. Well, maybe if I have all these certifications, maybe I won't be so sucky. Or if I have this, I'll have all this knowledge and I'll do this, this, and this. And it doesn't matter how many certifications you have. It doesn't matter how long you've been fishing. It doesn't matter how long you've been a teacher, this, that, and everything else. That imposter syndrome is going to sneak its way in one way or another and be like, oh, nope, can't do this, this, and this. And it's going to creep in there. And there really isn't. And, and one thing that I think allows me to stand out, and I'm not trying to be biased or conceited or anything like that. Scott said, nope, there isn't enough mental health awareness. And I think just one of the things that allows me to stand out, and again, I don't want to feel like I'm biased or conceited or anything like that. But one of the things that makes me stand out is the truth. The truth that I bring you. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. There may be people that'll tell you you'll never heal. You're always going to be the same way and things like that. But I am here to tell you, if you do what you're supposed to do and you put the work and the effort into everything that you're supposed to do, there will come a time that you will be healed. You may have small instances that come up that you have to work through, but guess what? You've had them coping skills. Those coping skills have been given to you that when that situation arises, you'll know exactly what's going on. You'll know exactly what's going on and how to handle that situation. And so I think that's part of why I'm different, or why I feel I'm different anyway, is because I bring, not only do I bring the life experiences in, but I bring the truth of how you can actually heal your trauma. And and help with your mental health and things like that too. And so I do it, because it helps myself too. It helps me dealing with a lot of the things that I deal with. And it keeps me accountable and things like that too. And I check in with myself. Oh, I'm talking about imposter syndrome. And, and it allows me the opportunity to say, okay, where am I today? Or, some of the other things that we've talked about. And it kind of helps you become educated on things that may be going on in your lives that you just don't have a term or a name for them. And so I love coming here. Yes, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And we actually thought about, when we had our conference, we were supposed to have it in February, like I told you, and some things. So we are actually going to move it to May. And it's just not going to work. So we have, now that you brought that up, let me just switch gears for just a minute. Once I get my one of my other platforms straightened around and figure out what's going on, what I'd like to do is we are going to do like weekly, not weekly. They will be either monthly or bi-monthly workshops. And it'll be conference speakers. And what we'll be doing is introducing them, highlighting them on in our groups and the different workshops and things like that. And so you'll be able to attend a workshop, and it'll be a low cost. And you'll be able to, attend one of them, all of them, whatever you'd like to do. And each one of them will be geared towards something different, like self-care, breath work. I will be doing art. There'll be, releasing trauma on the cellular level. There'll be, trauma and breath work, how they go hand in hand. Because I did a segment on my channel, Why Trauma Survivors Hold Their Breath. If you haven't checked it out, be sure to check out that video as well, because it'll really open your eyes to, some other things that we don't realize, that we hold our breath and things like that. Talking about so many different things that we'll be talking about. And then what'll end up happening is all of those workshops will actually lead up into a 2-day conference in October, at the end of October. And that's originally when we were going to have it last year, and it was just some things have happened. And so we lowered the cost. We want to make sure that it's effective for everybody, cost effective for everybody. It'll be like a Friday evening for 4 hours, and then it'll be Saturday all day. You can come and go because it's going to be all online. And but again, I'm a firm believer in bringing in people that have had life experiences, and then they back it with the education, the neuroscience, the neurophysiology, neurobiology, because I really think that that's super important when you've had the life experiences, because then you can relate to your audience. When your audience comes in, a lot of times, they are interested in learning, but a lot of times they have maybe an underlining factor that they're trying to figure out what's going on with them. So, being able to relate to them, having the empathy and compassion and the capacity in a room like that and stuff like that is what's huge. That's what helps as well. And so, again, everybody that speaks at my conference is all trauma survivors. Each and every one of us, trauma survivors turned professional. And so it's huge for that as well. So, May, I try to get involved as much as I can, with mental health in May, and really try to get out there, whether it's in the community, whether it's really just to get out there and post more stuff, and things like that too. Because I firmly believe, mental health in adults is just as important as mental health in children. And so really getting out there and seeing what's out there, like what are they doing to help, adults and teens and things like that too. So those are, and I have, a bunch of classes, workshops, master classes coming up on my website and stuff like that. I'm trying to get those up and going and stuff like that too. So, I have a lot of things in the works that I'm really trying to get going and stuff like that as well. So, yeah. So, and that's how, I'm kind of helping with the, the mental health on my end and stuff like that too. And obviously, a lot of the other colleagues that I have, a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know that there's a correlation between mental health and trauma. They don't see that because they're not told about it, because, there's not a root cause. And so, when you're having signs and symptoms, there's always a root cause. We can't mask things because there's always a root cause. You have to get to the root cause and work on the root cause, and, and things like that too. So, that's why I tell you all the time, like I bring truth. I am real and I am raw. I will bring you the truth. And if somebody ever said, oh, well, that's not true, I would find it, because it's not something that just showed up in my brain. It's through all the education. I showed you, my binder of just going through my complex trauma. And that's not even half of it. There's I think 13 total. I'm on 4. So, there's a lot of information out there and things like that too. So, do you have any questions for me? Any questions, concerns, anything you'd like to share? Anything at all? None at all. So what's everybody going to do? Well, I guess I know. What's everybody doing Monday evening? What are you going to do? Hop on Jermaine. What's his on at 9:35, I think, right? So what's everybody doing for the rest of the week? Do you think your temperatures are going to be nice enough to get outside? What are your plans? What are your plans for the week? Drawing a blank, huh? It's all right, Scott. I draw blanks all the time. I'm like, geez, what was I supposed to do? I'm like, oh, okay, it's fine. So I hope the cold weather kind of misses us. I mean, literally, we went from I don't know, I want to say it was 80 degrees the other day to 30. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is nuts and stuff. And I'm just like, oh my goodness gracious. So it's crazy. So yeah, see, and I mean, it's just nuts. The weather change is just crazy, but be nice to thaw us all out and things like that and be able to get out and do the things that we need to do or not, not the things that we need to do, but the things that we want to do. Yes. And so it's like, oh my goodness, we'll get out there. We'll get out. So, all right. Oh yeah. It's just, this weather is just absolutely nutty. It just drives me insane. I won't be here. Let me see, just so I know, so I can let you guys know. Let me see. So I will not be here next Monday, but I will be here. So that's the 24th. I'm actually teaching a mastermind. So I have a class that I'm teaching that I was invited to teach on that Monday. I will not be there, but I will be back on March 31st. And things like that. And, I can check in with you guys. I know how to get a hold of you as far as seeing you and, in the group chats and things like that too. And, on other lives and stuff like that. And as always, you know how to get a hold of us if you need us and stuff like that anyway. So I just love our, the communities that we're building and stuff. It's huge. And things like that too. So yeah, the weather is just absolutely nuts. So it's just crazy and stuff like that too. So it is. Michael, I hear you, because I was looking at my schedule and I was like, oh, no wonder why I was exhausted. I think, you don't realize when you're working with kids. I'm like, man, why am I so tired? Then I realized, because I worked, 3.5 days, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a lot. And then this week I'm working 4 days, 4 full days. Yeah. I'm like, holy mackerel. So it's a lot, especially coming off of, being sick and things like that. I'm like, oh, so, I don't even know. I'm so tired. I'm like, I could probably just go in and go to bed. I know before it was funny because I'd come home and I'd eat and I'd go and take a shower and put my PJs on and tell Sly, be like 8:30. I'm like, I'm going to bed. And he's like, already? I'm like, I'm exhausted. And literally by 8:30, 9 o'clock, I was in bed because I was so tired. And it's draining. I would rather teach than sit all day, as far as teaching and stuff, but it is draining. So I can only imagine when work, because then it's like, oh man, but just make sure during your working and your extra working and whatever you're doing, that you're really making sure that you're taking care of yourself, treating yourself to something special and, and things like that, because self-care is huge, and making sure that you're doing something for yourself, because it's always important. Self-care is always important for us, when we're doing things like that. So just make sure that you are, taking care of yourself, and treating yourself when you have good days and you acknowledge things. Really make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Treat yourself to something. So Scott, using you as an example, you're on a healthier journey. And so make sure, and I know you've probably bought yourself some fishing stuff and stuff. So that's probably how you treat yourself. But make sure that you really are taking care of yourself, doing something. Now, Sly, don't get no ideas, because that doesn't mean go out and buy a $600 fishing rod or whatever. That just means go to Big B and buy you a mocha. That's what I'm talking about. So, and things like that too. But really make sure that you're taking care of yourself, and stuff like that too. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge you this week. I won't see you next week, but I'm going to challenge you. Get yourself something different. Don't buy yourself any fishing gear or anything like that. Go out and buy yourself something different. If, go out and buy yourself that coffee from wherever you like, that specialty coffee, or go out and buy you something, that you would appreciate. So it doesn't have to be an extravagant purchase, something small. And just, say, wow, I've accomplished so much. Look at the transformation. This is something that I'm buying for me because I love myself enough to show appreciation to myself. And make sure, again, you don't have to spend a lot of money, a couple bucks, $5, whatever. But go do something nice for yourself, because you deserve it. You truly deserve it. And if anybody tells you no, you tell them Gina said so. Blame it on me. There you go, a new coffee maker. Speaking of that, our Keurig broke, the needle broke in it. And so I'm just like, I am not, but we have another one, but it's a 1-cupper. And I said to Sly, I'm not buying another one. Like this, there's nothing wrong with this one except for the needle doesn't poke a hole in the bottom of it. And I'm like, I'm not buying another one. So every morning we have to use scissors and slice, 2 slices on the bottom and stick it in the coffee pot. Because I'm like, I'm not buying one right now. I'm not buying one. There's nothing wrong with this one. When this one completely stops, then yes. But until then, I will continue to slice and dice the bottom of the coffee, the pod, because I'm not. But there you go, a new coffee maker. Yep. So that's why I just said we have another one in the box, but I think it's only a 1-cupper. Or it's like a smaller one. It's not like the one we have now. And I like the one we have now. We don't need to open the other one yet. And stuff like that. But again, I'm going to challenge you, and make sure you do something nice for yourself this week. Get out there and do something nice for yourself. And as always, if I manage, I will hop on and see you all in mainstream. Otherwise, if you don't, then you know why. I'm probably going to go hit the sack jack and things like that. But if you know where to, if anything comes up, you need anybody, you need any love, support, just somebody to listen to, you know how to get a hold of myself or Sly. And just kind of, if you need somebody, I think it's important to know that there's other people out there to listen, people out there to allow you to be seen, heard, and validated. And I think that's, the 3 biggest things when it comes to mental health and trauma and things like that. It's just making sure that you have somebody to listen, nobody to judge you, nobody to say, oh, you should have did this, this, and this, but genuinely somebody to really listen and validate you, to say, I hear you and I see you. That would mean a lot to somebody. And so good night, everyone. Make sure again that you hit the like button, and share. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. I go live every week. And then I'm hoping to start doing lives in the afternoon, one time during the week, if I can figure out a day too, and things like that too. So, good night. I will see you all in a couple weeks. And if you need us, you know where to find us. Thanks, everyone. Good night.